I'm using Adobe Illustrator 2024 version 28.1. Getting started. Creating a new document. After launching Illustrator, the first thing you'll likely want to do is either open a file or create a new one. To create a new document, you can use the menu File, New, or the shortcut Ctrl or Command plus N. This will bring up a window where you can set up the document. Here are some key settings to consider. Name. Give your file a name for easy reference later. Profile. Select from options like print, web, devices, etc. For print projects, Illustrator automatically sets the color mode to CMYK. For web graphics, it switches to RGB. You can always change these settings later. Number of artboards. Set how many artboards or workspaces you need and how they should be arranged. Size. Choose from preset sizes or enter custom dimensions. Bleed. This adds extra space around your document, useful for printing to the edge of the page. For this tutorial, let's select the Web Large preset, then click OK. You'll now see two canvases, your artboards in your workspace, with the file name and color mode displayed at the top. Opening an existing document. To open a file, go to File, Open, or press Ctrl or Command plus O. You can also use File, Open Recent to quickly access recent files. The Illustrator Interface. Just to be sure we are on the same page, select Window, Workspace, Essentials Classic. This option will make your interface similar to mine. If you still don't see this interface, just go to Window, Workspace, Reset Essentials Classic. Illustrator's interface is divided into three key sections. Control bar, the menus, File, Edit, Object, etc., and the title bar. Toolbar contains tools like the pen tool, shape tools, and text tools. Panels. Here you'll find panels like properties, color, layers, and stroke. You can customize this area by adding or removing panels via the window menu. Saving your work. To save, use File, Save, or press Ctrl or Command plus S. You can also use Save As or Save for Web to export in other formats like PDF, EPS, JPEG, or PNG. When saving, you'll have options to choose your file format, name, location, and Illustrator version. For exporting images, go to File, Export, and choose a format like PNG or JPEG. Managing artboards. To add or remove artboards, use the Artboard tool, Shift plus O, or the options in the toolbar. You can add, rearrange, or delete artboards as needed. Artboards are especially useful for creating multiple designs like business cards or logos within one file, moving around your workspace. Use the Hand tool, press H to move around your document, or the Zoom tool, Z, to zoom in and out. You can always press Alt or Option to zoom out. The Layers panel. The Layers panel allows you to organize your artwork into different layers, making it easier to manage your shapes, objects, text, and images. To open the Layers panel, click its icon in the panel bar on the right side of your screen. If you don't see the icon, go to Window, Layers to bring it up. You can add new layers by clicking the New Layer icon toggle the visibility of layers using the eye icon and rename them by double-clicking their names. To delete a layer, click the trash icon at the bottom of the panel. Working with shapes. Shapes play a key role in graphic design. Let's explore how to create, transform, and color them. Adding shapes. Use the shape tools found in the toolbar. You have basic shapes like rectangles, ellipses, polygons, stars, and more. Click and drag to draw a shape. Hold Shift to constrain proportions for perfect shapes. To delete a shape, select it and press Delete. Transforming shapes. The selection tool, V, lets you scale and move shapes. To adjust a shape further, use the Direct Selection tool, or A, to modify individual anchor points. Adding color to shapes. Select a shape and open the Swatches panel to choose a color. Your shape will have two colors, a fill, the inside, and a stroke, the outline. At the bottom of the toolbar, you'll find the Color Picker tool. It includes options for fill color, stroke color, and swap fill and stroke, which lets you switch between them. To apply a color to either the fill or stroke, simply double-click on the corresponding option and choose your desired color. To remove the fill or stroke, select the shape and click the None icon. Let's place the smaller shape on the top of the larger one. You'll notice that the smaller shape blocks the larger one. To make the smaller shape transparent, select it and click the No Color icon. This will remove the fill, leaving only the outline visible. Object Arrangement. You can right-click the shape, choose Arrange, and then select Bring to Front. Organizing your objects into different layers. Use the Layers panel, Window Layers, to organize shapes into different layers. This makes it easier to manage complex designs. You can move layers up or down to control which shapes appear in front or behind others. Separating objects into different layers. Currently, both shapes are likely on the same layer. To move one shape to a new layer, select it and cut it using Controller Command plus X. Next, create a new layer by clicking the New Layer icon, then paste the shape by pressing Controller Command plus V. Now you'll see both shapes on separate layers, and you can rename them as explained earlier. Layers are stacked in the order they appear. To bring a shape to the front, drag its layer above the others. Working with shapes, changing stroke, color, and thickness. The stroke is the outline of your shape and you can adjust its color and thickness easily. To make the stroke thicker, select one of your shapes and go to Window, Stroke, or find the stroke icon on the panel bar. It looks like three lines. In the stroke panel, you'll see the Weight option. By increasing the value, you make the stroke thicker. The higher the number, the thicker the outline. You can also select a size from the drop-down menu. To change the stroke color, double-click the stroke color box in the toolbar and pick a new color. Similarly, you can double-click the Fill Color box to change the fill of your shape. Let's look at how stroke effects work on straight lines. Select the pen tool found in the toolbar, click once on your artboard, hold the Shift key, and click again to draw a straight line. To change the ends of the line, return to the stroke panel, where you can adjust the weight and explore the cap and corner options. You can also try the dashed line, arrowheads, and profile settings to see different effects. Tip: use Ctrl or Command plus Z to undo any changes, or select everything and hit Delete to start over. 3. Drawing and combining shapes. The pen tool. The pen tool is used for drawing and allows you to create curves and custom shapes. It's especially useful for tracing images, drawings, or illustrations. With the pen tool you can draw anything you can imagine, but mastering it takes some practice. Select the pen tool or press P on your keyboard, click on your artboard, then click again to add a second point. Hold and drag to create a curve. The curve will move in the opposite direction of your drag. To finish the shape, click back on the starting point. For best results, set the fill to no color and make the stroke color black. As you draw, the pen tool generates handles which help control the curve. You can adjust this with the Direct Selection tool. Press A. You'll find additional tools under the pen tool, including the Add Anchor Point, Delete Anchor Point, and Convert Anchor Point tools. To add more control to your curves, select the Add Anchor Point tool and click on your shape to add a new point. This creates more handles to fine-tune your curve. Similarly, you can remove anchor points using the Delete Anchor Point tool. Combining shapes. To combine two or more shapes, you can use the Shape Builder tool. First, place the shapes on top of each other, select them and use the Shape Builder tool to drag from one shape to another to combine them. Another powerful way to combine shapes is with the Pathfinder panel. Window, Pathfinder. The Pathfinder tool offers options to unite, divide, subtract, merge, and more. To combine two shapes, select them and click the Unite option in the Pathfinder panel. This merges the shapes, similar to the Shape Builder tool. You can undo Ctrl or Command plus Z this action and then use the next option. To subtract one shape from another, select both and choose minus front. Explore the rest of the Pathfinder options and see how they change the shapes. Locking objects. After combining shapes, you might want to lock them to avoid accidentally moving them. To do this, select the shape, Ctrl or Command plus A, and go to Object Lock. To unlock, use Object Unlock. Selecting elements by color. You can easily select objects with the same color, opacity, stroke weight, and more. Start by drawing a few shapes with different colors. To select shapes with the same fill color, select one shape and go to Select Same Fill Color. All shapes with the same color will be highlighted, allowing you to change them together. You can do more under Select Same, like selecting by stroke weight, opacity, and other attributes. You can also use the Magic Wand tool, press Y, to select similar elements by clicking on one object. Picking a color with the Eyedropper tool. To reuse a color, use the Eyedropper tool, press I. Select the shape you want to change, grab the eyedropper, and click the object with the desired color. If you need the hexadecimal value of a color, use the eyedropper to sample it, then double-click the fill color to view and copy the hex code. The gradient fill. To create a gradient, select a shape and click the gradient icon in the color picker. This opens the gradient panel where you can choose between linear or radial gradients. Reverse the gradient direction and set an angle. By default, the gradient starts as black and white. To change colors, double-click the gradient slider, select a color from the swatches, or adjust the RGB sliders. Add more colors by double-clicking below the gradient bar to create new sliders. You can also play with the positions by sliding the sliders around. To remove a color, click the slider and hit the delete icon. Transparency and blending modes. When layering objects, blending and transparency help them integrate visually. Select an object, open the Transparency panel, Window Transparency, and adjust the opacity to make it more transparent. You can also experiment with blending modes such as multiply, screen, overlay, and more to see how they affect the interaction between objects. Working with text. Typing. You can either continue working in your current document or create a new one as previously shown. To start, select the text tool from the toolbar, click anywhere on the artboard, and type Working with Text. Text size. After entering your text, you might want to adjust its size to fit your design. To resize the text, select it using the Selection tool, hold down the Shift key, and drag one of the corners to scale it proportionally. Alternatively, you can hold both Alt plus Shift while dragging a corner for precise adjustments. You can also adjust the size using the Font Size drop-down in the Options bar, where you can select a specific size or manually type a value. Text font. Illustrator offers a variety of fonts which you can access from the Options bar after selecting your text with the Selection tool. Click the font icon and choose a font from the drop-down menu. To preview fonts, use the Character panel by clicking the character icon. As you scroll through the fonts, you'll see a preview of each one. Below the font selection, you'll find options for font style, including regular, bold, italic, and more, depending on the font. You can further customize your text in the character panel by adjusting uppercase, lowercase, superscript, subscript, underline, or strike through. Adjusting text spacing. To fine-tune the spacing between characters, use the text tool, press T, select the text and press Alt or Option plus right arrow to increase spacing or Alt Option plus left arrow to reduce it. For line spacing, if your text spans multiple lines, highlight the text and press Alt or Option plus up arrow or Alt Option plus down arrow to adjust. You can also use the leading setting in the character panel. Comparing fonts. If you're undecided on a font, you can easily compare different ones. To do this, duplicate your text by holding Alt Option plus Shift and dragging the text with the selection tool. Then select the duplicated text and apply a new font. This allows you to visually compare multiple fonts. Formatting. To arrange your text, you can align it left, center, right, or justify it. Select the text, click on the paragraph icon in the options bar to choose your preferred alignment. This is especially helpful when working with multiple lines of text. Modifying text. Once you've chosen a font, you might want to modify individual letters. To do this, first make a copy of the text as described earlier. Then, with the copied text selected, go to Type, Create Outlines, or press Ctrl Command plus Shift plus O. This converts the text into editable outlines. You can now use the Direct Selection tool to manipulate individual points. Hold Shift to select multiple points if needed. This technique is useful for customizing text, especially when designing logos or creating word marks. Ungrouping text. If you want to manipulate each letter separately, you can ungroup the text. Select it and go to Object, Ungroup. Then drag individual letters around as needed. Resize each letter as you would any other object. Warping text. To curve or warp text, select the text with the selection tool, then go to Object, Envelope Distort, Make with Warp. In the pop-up panel, check the preview box to see changes in real time. You can choose between horizontal and vertical arcs and adjust the sliders to control the amount of distortion. If you need more control, you can go to Object, Expand, tick both Object and Fill, and click OK. This will convert the warped text into points that you can further edit. Changing text color. Just like shapes, text has both fill and stroke colors. The fill is the color inside the letters, while the stroke is the outline. To change this, select your text and use the color picker to choose colors for either the fill or stroke. Adjusting stroke thickness. To emphasize the stroke, select the text and increase the stroke width using the stroke icon in the options bar. Adjust it one point at a time until you're satisfied with the result. The art tools. Tracing a photograph. Let's dive into tracing a photograph using the pen tool and transforming it into vector art. Begin by opening the image you want to trace via File, Open. To start, it's recommended to use a simple image with fewer details. As you gain experience, you can work with more complex images. Once your image is open, lock it in place by going to the Layers panel. Next, create a new layer and draw a large rectangle to cover the new layer, ensuring the fill is set to white. Then, reduce the opacity of this rectangle to about 40% using the transparency panel. This lets you see your image while you trace. Afterward, lock this layer as well. Now select the pen tool, set the stroke to black and fill to none, and start tracing the outer edges of the object. Place anchor points by clicking along the outline. Use the zoom tool for better precision when needed. Tracing can be time-consuming, especially for detailed images, so take your time. If you finish a segment, switch to the selection tool, then return to the pen tool to continue adding points. To check your progress, hide the image layer by clicking the eye icon next to it in the Layers panel. This will reveal your traced vector shape. When ready, show the image again and keep tracing. After completing the trace, you can add color using the color picker tool. Keep in mind that the fill color will only apply to closed shapes, while stroke color can be applied to both closed shapes and lines. Once finished, save your work or export it as an image for personal use. Using brushes. Brushes in Illustrator can be used for both painting and drawing, offering versatility when creating illustrations. To start, grab the Paintbrush tool from the toolbar, then click and drag on your canvas to create random lines. You can change the color of the brush strokes using the Fill and Stroke color options in the Options bar or the color picker in the toolbar. Illustrator offers a variety of brushes, and you can view them by opening the Brushes panel via Window Brushes. To access more brushes, click the menu icon in the upper right corner of the Brushes panel, then select Open Brush Library. From here, you'll see preset brush options. Try Artistic Paintbrush for practice. You can browse through the Artistic Paintbrush library and apply any brush by clicking on it and drawing on your canvas. Creating your own brush. If you want to create a custom brush, it's easy to do in Illustrator. First, grab the Rectangle tool and draw a rectangle. Set the fill and stroke to black. You can add unique designs to the ends of the rectangle for extra creativity. Zoom in using the Zoom tool, then grab the Ellipse tool and draw a small circle at one end of the rectangle while holding Shift to make it perfectly round. Move the circle inward, select both shapes, and use the Pathfinder tool to unite them into one object. Once you've designed your shape, open the Brushes panel and select New Brush from the menu. In the pop-up window, choose Art Brush or another type depending on your preference, and click OK. Name your brush, select Scale proportionately, and leave the other settings as they are. Click OK again to add your new brush to the list. You can now select your custom brush from the Brushes panel, use the Paintbrush tool and draw with it. Modifying your paint. To fine-tune or remove parts of your brush stroke, you can expand the appearance of your paint. Select the paint using the Selection tool, then go to Object, Expand Appearance. Next, switch to the Direct Selection tool, press A, which allows you to select and modify individual points. You can adjust the shape by clicking and dragging the points, or delete unwanted sections by selecting them with the Direct Selection tool and pressing Delete on your keyboard. This method gives you precise control over your brush strokes, making it easier to refine your artwork. Other art tools. Illustrator also includes several other helpful tools such as the arc, spiral, rectangular grid, polar grid, pencil, smooth, blob brush, eraser, scissors, and knife tools. These tools will become increasingly useful as your skills improve. Here's a look at how to use them. The Arc tool. To use the Arc tool, click and hold the Line Segment tool, then select Arc tool. Click and drag on the canvas to draw an arc. You can enhance the arc by applying a brush from the Brushes panel, including any custom brushes you've created. To draw a perfect arc, press and hold Alt or Option plus Shift while dragging. You can rotate, flip, or manipulate the arc further as needed. The Spiral tool. The Spiral tool is another feature within the Line Segment tool. To use it, click and hold the Line Segment tool, then select Spiral tool and draw on your canvas. For a perfect spiral, hold Shift while drawing. You can make the spiral tighter or looser by holding Alt or Option plus Shift. Apply a custom brush to your spiral for a more dynamic effect. Adjust the stroke size for a better look or add colors to enhance the design. The pencil and smooth tools. The pencil tool allows for freehand drawing similar to the brush tool. However, with the smooth tool, found by clicking and holding the pencil tool, you can refine and smooth your drawn paths. After drawing with the pencil tool, you can apply custom brushes and colors to your sketch. The blob brush, eraser, scissors, and knife tools. The blob brush tool creates thicker brush strokes and works similarly to the regular brush tool. If you need to erase unwanted marks from your project, use the eraser tool. Additionally, the scissors and knife tools are great for cutting shapes. Transforming objects. The blend and envelope distort tools. The blend tool. First, create a new document. Select the pen tool, set the fill to none, and the stroke to black. By now, you should be familiar with using the pen tool to create various shapes and curves. The more you practice, the better you'll become. Now, try drawing a simple shape. If you need to rotate your object, select it and go to Object, Transform, Rotate. A pop-up window will appear and you can check the preview option to see the changes as you adjust the angle. Now let's work with curves. Select the top curve and increase the stroke weight to make it thicker using the stroke panel. Window, stroke, setting it to around 5 points. Next, select both curves with the selection tool, then go to Object, Blend, Blend Options. In the pop-up, choose Specified Steps as the spacing option, enter 10 for the value and click OK. Then go to Object, Blend, Make, or press Ctrl or Command plus Alt Option plus B, and you'll create smooth wavy lines transitioning from thicker to thinner. If needed, you can adjust the number of lines by going back to Object, Blend, Blend Options, checking the Preview option and changing the number of steps. Once you're happy with the blend, you can either keep it as is or continue refining it. For more control, convert the object to editable points by selecting Object, Expand, then use the Direct Selection tool to adjust individual points. You can also add fill and stroke colors to enhance your design. The Envelope Distort tool. Let's duplicate the shape we just created. Before copying, you may need to resize it by holding Shift and dragging inward from the bottom right corner. To make a copy, hold Alt Option plus Shift and drag out the duplicate. With the copied shape selected, go to Object, Envelope, Distort, Make with Warp. This option works on both shapes and text. Enable the preview option, choose a warp style, and adjust the sliders to explore different effects. Creating patterns. You can also turn your shape into a pattern. Select your object, then go to Object, Pattern, Make. A dialog box will appear, notifying you that the new pattern will be added to the Swatches panel for future use. In the Pattern Options panel, you can name your pattern and select a tile type. Once you're done, click Done at the top of the panel. Your pattern will now be available in the Swatches panel, allowing you to use it as a fill for any shape. You can also apply the pattern to the stroke by selecting the stroke icon, going to Window, Swatches, and choosing your pattern. Increase the stroke weight to see the effect. If you liked this video, I have a similar one for you right here. Like and subscribe.